Thank you. Our next question comes from John Chappell of Evercore. Your question, please.
Thank you. Guys, I don't want to belabor the Sting sale, but given everything you said about keeping the dividend, position strength, the balance sheet, it just seems like the timing and the price just doesn't kind of match up with that position of strength. I get the uncertainty in preparing for the worst, but at a time when Sting was putting up tremendous results and the stock was getting punished, it seems like SALT kind of piled on a little bit with 1.5 million shares at sub 19. So I'm trying to figure out the timing of that. And I understand you can do it in the quiet period, but why on May 7th?
Okay, I think that's very easy. You wanted to, you are limited. You are very severely limited in the trading. Okay, in trading both in time, time of calendar and time of dates. And the second aspect is, as I said before, is that we, it isn't a question of necessarily the timing of their Sting position, and the company is liquid and has this balance sheet because it just sold $43 million worth of shares. Had we not sold those shares, I think the questions today would have been quite rightly something along the following lines. You've only got about $60 million worth of liquidity. Your cash covenant is whatever it is, $30 million. We understand that you're optimistic for the future, but your fleet is spot, and rates at present are running below all-in break even. How long can you last doing this? How are you able to create, flexibility, etc.? So it is a much different position now that you've sold those shares. So the correct decision for SALT was to sell those shares, and stock prices are very fickle. You could have hung out for $2 or $3 or $5 or $10 more, but it would have been delayed SALT making its progress and able to take its opportunity. And maybe we would have ended up, depending on what happens in the stock market, selling even more shares later, which we certainly wouldn't have wanted to do.
Okay. Can you just help us understand the quiet period then? Like when would the next restrictions? I understand you don't want to sell anymore, and you're optimistic, and you have the balance sheet now, but it seems like the market's taking another turn for the worse in most asset classes. So in case you got to that next level of worst-case scenario, when would the next quiet period kick in?
Okay. Well, you got that doesn't matter when the next quiet period. You don't know when the next quiet period. The next quiet period would be whenever Sting itself could be doing something.
Whenever. The moment you have material non-public information, John. So the problem is that the board of Scorpio Bulkers just did not. First of all, we're selling at a 30%, making a 30% profit on the investment over the period. Yes, it's not annualized. It's on over 18 months, not over 12. But still psychologically, the board felt very comfortable with the investment. It's still holding half of its position. We don't want to run the risk of getting hold of being locked out by material non-public information that will force potentially us not to be able to sell the shares. The board just decided very consciously of taking the position of just put that cash on the balance sheet and let's hope we are wrong selling here. It's as simple as that. It was not a more difficult conversation at the board level, and that's about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, you have to really understand that literally SALT could get shut out today if there was anything that Sting management was doing that it felt should need to be disclosed. And that's not the right risk that SALT should take. SALT should not take that risk when effectively, it should do what it's done, which is take the opportunity to move a mediocre balance sheet to a strong balance sheet. Thank you. Move on. I mean, it sold 40 million shares in a week where there was, $700, $800 million volume.
Understood. Thanks for the answers, guys.
Sure.